Okay, thanks very much. As has been noted, I'm Tony Seddon. I'm from FASET. We are the body that looks after the safety netting industry throughout the UK, and actually we're spreading our wings worldwide at the minute, so getting a larger organisation. So a brief overview on selecting a competent netting contractor. Many of you will be using nets, and it's quite crucial that the nets are put up correctly and competently, and the nets are compliant. But to give you a quick heads up about the industry itself before we actually move on to that, the industry comprises somewhere in the region of 500 specialist net riggers who actually put up nets for themselves and for other contractors. There are steel deckers use nets, and steel deckers have their own netters trained as well, and they do somewhere in the region of 500,000 square metres a year from the figures that we have. There are somewhere in the region of 10,000 roofers working above nets, and they're putting up 5 million, nominally 5 million square metres of roofing a year. We have trained somewhere in the region of 3,500 safety net inspectors over the period that the course has been out there. So there are people out there who should know how to check your nets over and look at them. And many of the contractors will have people themselves who have that role. So what does the law say about selecting a competent contractor? Well, it stems back to the construction design and management regulations. And within those regulations, the regulations specify that there's a two-stage process to this selection. The first stage is assessing the company's organisation to ensure that they actually have sufficient capabilities to safely carry out that task without risks to the health and safety of the people. The second part of that process is then assessing that company that you appoint, assessing their experience and track record to establish that they can actually do the work and have the facilities to do that work, and have the wherewithal to carry it out safely. Now, the assessment of the organisation's competence can be done on an independent basis. There are many schemes out there that do this for you. They will take care of all that side of it for you, leaving you to concentrate on the site specifics and to ensure that the sites themselves are safe, and to ensure that method statements are put in place that ensure that everything is done correctly and compliantly. What it does say is that assessment process must be robust. It must be suitable for the task it's aimed at, and to ensure that what you're doing is correct. And you can go to the various trade associations within any of the AIF organisations, but specifically in this case ourselves, FASET, for advice on these processes and what you should be expecting on site. And that's where the inspector's course itself is aimed at, to ensure that you understand what is expected of a netting contractor and what you should expect on your site. If we drop back to actually a safety net system itself, there are three pillars. Like a building, there are three pillars to any safety netting installation. And those three pillars are compliant product that actually is suitably maintained, inspected and checked and tested. Competent rigging, so guys who are actually physically properly trained to do the work and are competent to do so and have been assessed as competent. And comprehensive maintenance, so maintenance of the system not only when it's in the air and being used, but maintenance of the components of the system to ensure that those components are suitable and sufficient and correctly maintained. It's like any building, without those pillars it will fall down and you will have problems. So you need everything done correctly. You need to ensure that those three C's are in place. So what do we do? What do FASET do? Apart from training the riggers in the first place and training people to put the nets up and assessing their competence, we look at our members, and we have just over 40 contractor members who are putting nets up all over the UK, and those contractors all have to jump through the hoops before they can become members. We have an audit. It's a 51 question audit currently, although that's being reviewed and there are more questions coming on board. They all have to be audited before we will let them come in, and they have to be audited and comply with the standard that we set. That standard is CDM compliant, so it gives you guys a reassurance that that actually is suitable for what you're doing. Those audits take place before the member is allowed in, but we don't just leave it at that. We then look at them 12 months down the line to ensure that they've actually not just made the standard, they've maintained the standard and have retained that quality. We then look at it every member, every second year. So we look at a cycle of audits to maintain members' competence, and we ensure that that happens. And that audit goes through from health and safety and CDM compliance through to the quality of the nets and the quality of the systems. We spend time physically looking at the nets they have and ensuring that those are compliant. And it goes through to environmental and other issues. And it is being obviously tailored to training centres as well. They get checked out, manufacturers get checked out, and as other disciplines come on board within FASET, we're taking those on board as well. That audit will ensure that the members you select from the FASET website and from FASET members are compliant, both in terms of the standards that they're actually meant to uphold, i.e. the British and European standards, the standards that we set in terms of technical guidance, and it will also ensure that you get those 3 pillars of the netting system, so your netting building doesn't fall down, as it were. Okay. If you employ a FASET member, what do we give you? What do you get out of that? Well, you're getting assurance of that compliance, and we spend a lot of time on that. The audits are typically 7 hours, so it's quite a rigorous audit. You get the ability to feed back and put complaints in. If you have a problem, if you have an issue with a netting contractor that is one of our members, you can complain to us. You will get hold of me, and we will take that forward to the board. We'll talk to the contractor. We'll try and find a resolution to the issue, if there is an issue. If there isn't an issue, we'll tell you, and we'll tell you why there isn't an issue, and we'll take it forward in that manner. So we can help you if you have an issue. You can come to us for advice. If you're unsure about anything that goes on your site with netting, you can contact us, you can speak to us, we can assist you and guide you through that. There's a lot of guidance on the website, a lot of guidance notes, and those guidance notes are there as a free download. You don't need to pay anything in this life. It's not often you get something free, but that's the way it is. We give them away. So you can download those and use that guidance to any effect that you wish. Hopefully, if you use a FASET member, you get a good compliant netting system such as that. And those netting systems, we must not forget, are there to save lives. We actually collate statistics every year from the members, and we can tell you that pretty much year on year we've had, from the membership, 50 falls into nets recorded. Now, we think that's the tip of the iceberg. That's somewhere in the region of 10% of the true number, because in that case many people fall in and climb back out and never report it, or it doesn't get reported to our member, so therefore we don't get that statistic. There are a number of assumptions made when people look at netting. People will assume that because the netting installer, the actual rigger, has a CSCS card, that the netting will be compliant. Well, compliance doesn't just stop at the actual installation of the net. The compliance goes further back into the maintenance and inspection of that net when it's back at the depot, back in the yard. If you don't have compliant nets, it may be the best rig net in the world, but if that net is not compliant, it doesn't have a current UV test, somebody can fall through that net and they won't work. So it shouldn't be assumed that just because the guys on site are CSCS carded, it shouldn't be assumed that it's completely compliant. The other assumption, and it's a wide assumption by many people, that the company is a member of FASET because the riggers have a CSCS card and it says FASET on the back of it. Well, that is not true. That purely indicates that the person is a trained rigger. The true proof of membership of FASET and the proof that they've gone through the audit process and the proof that they've actually got compliant nets and a compliant system is the evidence of the annual membership cert, and that's done on an annual basis at the start of each year. And if you don't pass your audit, you will not get one of those. The other evidence of membership, corporate membership, you can check the website, and there is a members list on the website. If they're not on that website, they are not a member. Simple as that. Doesn't matter what they tell you. If they're not on there, they are not a member. I can't stress that. So, in a nutshell, that was a very quick whistle-stop tour. We've tried to make it as simple as we can, so people don't have too much to take away today. But if there's any questions, I'm happy to take them.
Tony, just a quick question on the membership audit. You said 50 questions, meets CDM. How often do you as the Federation review that audit to make sure it's keeping up to changes with the legislation and industry guidance more permanently?
It's consistently reviewed. I mean, we're reviewing it now, as you know. It's a very good question, that one. But yes, you do know it's being reviewed at this moment in time. And we review it on pretty much an annual basis. So there will be things added in as we go. But yeah. Thank you. Thank you very much.